I think it's time. Let's get on with this!
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. Today we have two reviews I'm pretty excited about. You could say I'm giddy as a schoolgirl. Both shoes are from Nike, the Wildhorse 5 and the Terra Kiger 5. Now, this is the review of the Wildhorse 5. If you want to watch the Terra Kiger review, there's a link in the description. Go check it out. But for now, this is the review of the Nike Wildhorse 5. Wildhorse. Giddy up, little doggy. Whew. I'm not gonna lie. The new Nike trail shoes are spicy, good-looking little morsels. It has been awesome to see these shoes evolve over time. Now with the Wildhorse 5, we're seeing a pretty big evolution in the upper of this shoe. And while it's not completely redesigned like the Kiger 5 is, these new elements do help to make this one of the better Wildhorse versions yet. But does it hold up to the Kiger 5? Which would I choose? Is it a better version? Is it a great version? We're gonna find out in today's review. Let's start with pointing out the major differences in the Wildhorse 5. The upper. That's pretty much it. The midsole, the outsole, the rock plate, the Zoom Air pod, all of that is pretty much the same. Where this shoe is different is in the upper. The materials, the layout, the overlays. It's a nice redesign. I think it works well for this shoe. But do all the changes help make the Wildhorse 5 the best Wildhorse yet? Does it even compare to the Kiger 5? We're gonna find out in today's review. I like to cover everything that I like and everything that I dislike, starting with things that I like. The upper. Despite the fact this thing is covered in mud and dirt, for which I apologize, the upper is actually holding up quite well. Not only are these new materials really durable, really breathable, they're also really comfortable. It's not completely weighed down by that crazy overlay piece that the Wildhorse 4 had, which I never understood and ended up causing a lot of problems for the top of my foot. This shoe does away with that, reduces weight, improves comfort. The lacing system is dialed, the mesh materials are dialed, the welded overlays are in the right places. I think the Wildhorse 5 is a drastic improvement over the previous version, and I'm happy about that. Protection. So this is where the Wildhorse, I think, improves over the Kiger series, especially in the version 5, just having that added level of protection underfoot. You have almost a full outsole, the same midsole material, rock plate up front. The shoe provides you with plenty of protection from rocks, roots, sharp objects, which goes a long way in overall trail comfort. Even the addition of the welded overlays across the heel counter, across the midfoot, and across the toe box just add to that level of protection. And finally, looks. Much like the Kiger 5, I think the Wildhorse 5 is one of the best looking trail shoes out there. You open the box and you can't help but go, oh yeah, that's nice. I will say it's a polarizing thing. I've seen a lot of people say, I don't like the white, the blue, the pink, the green, the yellow. I, for one, love it. It's one of my favorites. So of course, looks are completely subjective, but for me, it feels good to have a pair of shoes that looks good, even if it only looks good in your own mind. Makes you feel good, and feeling good is good. You get what I'm saying. That being said, it's not all ponies and stallions.
Wild Stallion!
There are some things that I dislike about the Wildhorse 5. The midsole. So this is actually the same problem I've had with a lot of wild horses. The shoe is built up and it feels like that underfoot compared to the Kiger. What ends up happening is that the midsole loses a lot of its flexibility. It's not as soft or supple as the other versions. It just really isn't comfortable. Listen, I've loved the Wildhorse for a long time. I used it for the last 20 miles of Cascade Crest 100, but they're not the most comfortable shoes out there. They're really unforgiving, and if you end up getting hot spots or blisters, they just never break in or solve that problem on their own. You're just gonna inevitably have that problem for the life of the shoe. Lots of protection, lack of comfort. Evolution. So this is a comparative review in that the Kiger 5 is a huge evolution in the series. The Wildhorse, while it evoluded, I'm realizing it's evolved. The upper changed, the midsole and outsole did not. I would have loved to see this shoe evolve even further and just get a complete redesign, because I think some of the elements that I disliked in previous versions has carried over by far into this. While the Kiger 5 might be marketed more towards a racing flat or a racing shoe, the Wildhorse was always that long haul shoe. I still find myself grabbing the Kiger 5 over the Wildhorse for any distance run. I'd like to see the Wildhorse 6 get there. Let's give it some softer foam, keep the protection, just keep it thick, just keep it a nice, softer, longer run shoe. So my question becomes then, what are the benefits of the Wildhorse 5 over the Kiger 5? And I just can't really count them all. It's actually not that much heavier than the Kiger 5. Kiger 5 weighs in just about 10.7 ounces in my size 11. This is 11.1 ounces in my size 11. If it was a heavier shoe, the Kiger was a real light shoe, and this added that extra level of cushioning because of that added weight, I'd understand. But in this case, the weights are comparable, just the overall comfort and efficiency of the shoe has me leaning towards the Kiger as opposed to the Wildhorse. Bringing us to our conclusion. What you're getting in the Wildhorse 5 is more protection underfoot. For technical trails, you might prefer something like this, but you're gonna get less comfort for those longer distance runs. If given the choice between the Wildhorse and the Kiger, that has me rooting for the Kiger. But let's get a little bit more specific. Build, I actually really love the build quality of the Wildhorse 5. I think the upper is solidly built, really nice little design elements. The midsole is efficient and provides you with plenty of the protection, as I've already mentioned. The outsole has held up for years now in the other versions, and it's the exact same here, so it works out quite well. Comfort, it's stiff, responsive, not all of the comfort that I would hope for, especially with Nike's new midsole materials. Just a bit of a rough ride. Fit, good. Better than the previous version, but yet still stuffy. The materials are a bit thicker than the Kiger, which makes the fit a bit more cumbersome. Price at $110, that's cheaper than the Kiger 5. So if you are on a budget, this could be the version that you need to lean towards. I'd spend the extra 20 bucks, get the Kiger 5. And finally, looks. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the looks. I think that blue, pink, white, yellow, green, it's just great. It totally fits the bill for me. I often have a hard time telling the Kiger apart from the Wildhorse, which is fine. I think they both look great. So for me, the looks of the Wildhorse 5 are right up there, even if it's covered in mud. Bringing us to our final conclusion, is the Wildhorse 5 a buy, try, or a why? I'm gonna say a try, if only to compare it to the Kiger 5, so you can compare for yourself. And I'm realizing right now that that is a Kiger 5 in the background. Talk about error. If you actually caught that earlier in the review, big high five to you. Remind me next time I see you, you get a donut. But yeah, put your foot in it. Put your foot in the Wildhorse 5. Compare it to the Kiger 5 if you have that opportunity. I think you'll notice the differences that I've talked about. It's definitely worth a try. If you want to find out more information about the Wildhorse 5 or get a pair for yourself, go to the Running Warehouse link in the description of this video. It's an affiliate link, so it helps the channel. It helps you. It's a great way to find out a lot more about the shoes. Bringing me to my final question. Have you run in the Wildhorse 5 or the Kiger 5? What are you thinking about them? In the comments of this video, let us know. Let's get that dialogue going. That is it for today's review. Hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/thegingerrunner. Make sure you click that notification bell. Social media links, there's lots of them. Enjoy those. And if you want to help keep the lights on and the mics hot and get some bonus coupons in the mix, go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. It helps everything happen here at the studio. That is it. Get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest. I know I am in the Kiger 5s. Okay, bye.